This is Abnormal Entertainment.
I am a real American, fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American, fight for what's right, fight for your life.
You're listening to the No Cry Zone, a progressive political podcast on the Abnormal Entertainment Network.
And welcome to the No Cry Zone. I am here almost always, with John and Rob. There isn't always, though. There's always some frickin' shenanigans going on in the White House.
Or in Europe.
Because of the White House.
You know, our president had another meeting with Putin that they didn't disclose until, of course, it was disclosed for them. And then they're like, oh, what are you talking about?
It's a nothing burger, John.
It's a big nothing burger that he sat for more than an hour with Vladimir Putin without a U.S. interpreter. So he was the only American, supposedly, that was privy to this conversation.
Card carrying.
Yeah, right. And so their defense of this, the White House's defense of this was, well, it's not a secret. It was at this dinner and all the world leaders. And you're like, yes, that's the point. All the world leaders are sitting there looking across the table at you talking with Putin.
Well, apparently he got up and moved to the empty seat next to Putin.
Right.
When no one else would talk to him. Which I could, okay, I get it. You're at the new dinner. You're the new kid at school. You're kind of weird, and no one likes you.
Dick. You're a dick. You're Biff Tannen from the Back to the Future movies.
You are, but you already got the reputation that you were a dick at your old school, and people know it now. They're like, oh, God. It got across town that fast. And you see the guy over there that's also a dick, and you're like, Scott Farkas needs a sidekick, and I am that sidekick. So Putin, as Scott Farkas, brings Trump over, just with a look probably, a glance. A stare, a wink. Maybe you know how when you blink in front of a cat to show that they trust you? Maybe Putin did that, like, blink, blink. and Trump was like, oh, he likes me. And he runs over and he takes the empty seat, the wallflower at the G20, finds the other wallflower at the G20, and they're going to make little baby flowers.
Right. But, of course, the problem with all this is that for a president who is under immense suspicion, let's put it that way, of being in collusion with the Russians. And we've just gotten more information this past week about all that, which we'll get to, I'm sure.
And the 200,000 attempts on the South Carolina voting, so we still don't even know the real answer to that. Were they successful? How were they successful? But our Republican leaders don't want to know.
No, of course not.
They are.
Hell no, why would they want to know?
They're running around with their fingers in their ears and blinders on, and they don't want to hear shit.
And the Trumpelstiltskins don't want to know because it's fake anyway.
Right. But of all the presidents, look, it would not be a problem. I just heard this. They were talking about this on NPR just a few minutes ago, and I thought it was very well said. Look, it wouldn't be a problem if Barack Obama had a set aside with Putin like this. It would not, or if George W. Bush had a set aside with Putin under these same exact circumstances. No one would really bat an eye. With this guy, with his history and the suspicion, the fact that he would do this in front of all the world leaders, what message are you sending to our allies?
Yeah.
Okay. Which is, we don't give a shit about you. I have to go talk to my master and get my performance review. And secondly, it speaks to the complete incompetence and just out of touch with reality that this White House has, that this isn't going to come up. Mm-hmm. Of course it's going to. They just thought no one will ever mention this for some reason.
No one knows this.
That we did in front of all the world leaders who hate me and have every reason to make sure that people know about this.
And I don't know who leaked it eventually, but I have a sneaky suspicion it was the staff of the White House,
Could be.
of the normal government that we would have.
I have a suspicion that it was just anyone that was there. Angela Merkel's like, oh shit, click. said. Instagram. They're vying for who's going to get it up first.
There's
Macron's like first, right in the post.
There's a lot of details that came out later.
Merkel,
but
hat tip.
It wasn't listed, and nobody said anything. There's
Trudeau,
a read back on it. That's coming from staff somewhere. That's going, oh my God, what is this guy doing?
It's possible.
You know what I mean? That's my thing. Is Bush did have, had sit downs with Putin and gave him, credible secret information, but he would clear it for months in advance through his intelligence.
Obama did the same thing.
And Obama did the same thing, and that's what you're supposed to do.
Here's the thing, though. Neither of those guys would look across the room, stand up, and go to him.
Right. If they were going to have a set-aside meeting with Putin,
point.
it would be a prite meeting at some point. That
no one would be like, oh, man, this feels tough. Oh, Putin's alone. I don't know who does that.
That speaks to the incompetence.
Yeah.
The incredible incompetence of... Because his defenders are trying to spin this, of course, as saying, look, if you want to get things done in the world, you got to sit and talk to the other world leader that can make things happen. There's no doubt that if we could come to some sort of accommodation with Russia, a lot could get done. The problem is, without sacrificing our essence, morals, and strategic objectives in the world to do it, which is exactly what Trump is doing. Right. There's no coming to an accommodation with Vladimir Putin until we get to the bottom of the collusion and the interference in the 2016 election. And that's not going to happen when the Trump Presidential Election Integrity Commission met today for the first time.
What is it? Whoa, I haven't heard of this.
Oh, you haven't heard of the Election Integrity Commission?
Did he start this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all Trump.
He wanted the voter rolls from all 50 states.
No, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right, yeah.
Gotcha.
Right. You're probably just calling it the Dickwad Commission.
So I was doing the acronym TIC, the Trump Integrity Commission.
The voter Suppression Commission.
The voter suppression is exactly right. So they met for today, and of course Trump is at a time when the spotlight is glaring bright on the Trump campaign's collusion with Russia heading into the 2016 election and through the 2016 election. Of course, they want to focus on that which there is no proof. Okay, that there is, basically all this fake voting going on. That basically and this is all to assuage his ego, his little man boy ego. That the reason he lost the popular vote is he has to live in this world in which millions of people illegally voted. Which, of course, there is zero information that millions of people illegally voted. There is a fucking mountain of evidence and information that the Russians colluded in our election, and that now we have, adding to that mountain, it's a set of small foothills growing into a nice mountain range, that the Trump campaign was actively involved.
So does one question the wisdom of, if you're the winner, why would you start a commission on how, to prove that you didn't win?
Well, so you can control that message. I mean, they
want to prove the opposite.
Yeah, but you can't.
Well, he can if he's controlling it.
So here's the thing: you can't prove a negative.
Well,
it's impossible to prove a negative. Period. So, by definition, the only thing he could do was either validate his win, which it already was, or prove that he didn't win.
Right, but there are some more sinister possibilities as well. That is that look, when they asked for the 50 voter rolls, okay, from the 50 states, and they wanted to upload it to an unsecured website, this information, there is the notion out there that this is making this information very conveniently available for upcoming elections to be hacked, used, and manipulated.
That's a different agenda than the stated agenda.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh, that's the. Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course, that's not the same.
I'm going to the wisdom of the stated agenda.
Okay.
Has no one just said, but you're dumb for this. Your stated agenda is so stupid.
But these are the people that they live in a world of fake news.
True.
So they just, in their mind, look, it's not to the Trumpelstiltskins of the world. They believe that millions of people illegally voted, and that Trump should have won the popular vote. They just believe it as a matter of faith. Not fact, obviously, but a matter of faith.
And therein we find the rub. Yeah. That's why the evangelicals are so, behind Trump, too, because, again, you're dealing with faith. Mm-hmm. You don't need proof.
Right.
If I have faith, that's enough. If I have faith, I'll pray my cold away, or I'll pray for my son's baseball team to win. I got into an argument online. I pulled a John. I couldn't help but troll someone who I
missed this.
It was a minor thing, okay. And then some lady came on there from someone posted something and said, the video was late when they were talking the Made in America video, and I was about to watch that,
right?
And some lady came on and said, pray that the video works. It's like, yeah, because that's important. Let's pray that the video works and that your son's baseball team wins and that, your cankles go away. But forget world hunger. Forget, all these people dying. Yep. The important stuff. Let's pray for the video.
Yeah.
And they just went off on me.
Right.
It's great. I can pray for the video. I'll pray for pray.
I'll pray for you is probably her last line.
No, I never got to pray for you. No, that's pointless. Don't waste a prayer
right.
on a guy like me. Save that for the baseball team.
Well, if she's from the South, you get the equivalent of "fuck you" when she says "bless your heart."
If she's from the South, I was hoping she'd be snake handling at the time. Get so upset and bit and die.
Yeah. So, okay. So, yeah, whatever. This whole meeting thing now, yet further throw it on the top of the heap.
Another meeting with another Russian.
That's
all this one is.
Right. So, okay, so we go back to the meeting we talked about last week, of course, with Kushner.
The 8-member meeting now.
And Don Jr.
The Deuce.
And the Deuce, right. The Deuce and Kushner, all the rest of them met with
JK, the Deuce
Russian,
manifold.
this Russian lawyer.
Our super
and
team.
So through the week, they kept adding people to there was a 6th person.
Yeah.
Then there was a 7th person.
Right.
And then there was an 8th person. And for a while there, the 8th person was rumored to be Trump himself.
No.
Which, of course, it did not turn out to be.
But they wouldn't have him in an important meeting. Are you kidding me? He just ruined it.
Yeah. So, right, and it turned out to be yet another Russian.
It was a Russian American lobbyist?
That was one of them. That was 6.
That was 6.
Get your scorecards. Get your scorecards.
Number 8 was the translator they didn't need.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There was right.
Because apparently JK speaks fluent Russian. Oh, I'm kidding.
So it's like, oh my God,
And most people don't realize that the Russian translators come straight out of their spy school.
Of course,
they have a spy college. It's kind of
there's
like
a name of it. There's what was the name? We talked about it before.
But that's where you learn your foreign languages. It's
right in the middle of that American town where they raise you in. Welcome to Ameritown. Here's where you're going to learn all these things. I have a bad Russian accent. I wasn't in the meeting, apparently.
Well,
who wasn't in the meeting?
Who wasn't in the meeting? The best comment online I saw was there were now officially more people at this meeting than were at Trump's inauguration. And so as that kept rolling itself out and drip, 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 and you just wondered why, if you're Donald Trump Jr. and you make this incredibly stupid maneuver of releasing all these emails. Okay, but why would you not gain the full benefit of that, which is not much compared to the negative from his perspective? But if you're going to release emails and say, like, yep, the meeting happened and here's all the details, then just fucking come out and say everybody that was there. Why this assumption, again, that they'll never know? We're always going to know.
This is what's bugging me. And I know that a lot of it deals with, this is how they ran businesses.
Into the ground.
Some into the ground, some
like a
quite
casino.
well.
Hard those are to make money on, but go on.
Just ask all the Native Americans. But so they're running businesses like this, and you can run a business like this. You can.
Especially if it's
dirty
money and you're skimming most of it.
Well, most are run like, maybe there's back deals, there's all kinds of things going on. Again, the incompetency of so unprepared for the scrutiny.
Yeah.
This is prime fucking time. This is not The Apprentice. This is real prime time.
Well, I really do think that they had that ego going into it that they would be able to control the media. They felt that they had the media, under their thumb at that point because they had just won an election that the media was saying that they were going to lose.
Right.
So I think that they got kind of a big head about all of it, kind of thinking that nobody was going to really dig into it.
John's space overlords are calling.
We'll do something stupid or vile, and we'll control the media yet again.
Well, see, they made the mistake that a lot of people do between the campaign and actually governing.
Right.
Which I have yet to see any governing. This has all still been campaign, just a poorly run campaign.
Still.
Which, just puts a spotlight on, hopefully to Democrats, on how poorly Hillary Clinton's campaign was run.
Right.
And I know that there's a big thing right now about people indicating that the Dems have no platform. And that's why you were mentioning Kamala Harris earlier. Mm-hmm. They're tapping her. She actually has the message. And I think her message is a good one.
Yeah.
She came over, she said, how did she say it recently? It was the Democratic message is working for the people in this manner. She laid out some vague things, but it's a start of a bubble that you can fill in at some point. She's photogenic. She's charismatic. Well-spoken. She is terrifying to the alt-righters because not only is she Obama-colored, but she has ovaries.
Right.
Which is freaking terrifying.
That's like Barack and Michelle combined.
It's like a mashama.
And have you heard all the scuttlebutt with the big donors and Hillary?
Yes.
That they were, basically pushing it towards Hillary's pack because they felt that the DNC is just actually ineffectual as a political apparatus.
Well, there was an article. Yeah, I mean, there was an article in the Guardian which was, I think, was not complimentary to Harris. Basically, the gist of that article was that the big money donors that have led the Democrats to defeat in the last election have kind of grabbed a hold of Harris now,
right.
And that they're going to similarly push her down a path away from more tilted towards Wall Street, tilted towards free trade, this notion, and less away from trying to at least address some of these issues that came up in the 2016 election, and that Democrats have really not had much of a message on. I mean, really, the Democrats, and it's understandable why, because it's working wonderfully right now to achieve their goals, which is basically to obstruct. And I'm perfectly fine with obstructing this agenda. But their message right now is, we're not Trump. We will stop Trump. That's the Democrats' message. That's fine for now. That cannot win you the White House.
It can.
Well,
because it won the Republicans the White House. We're not Obama. We're against everything Obama does. Go.
Yeah, but it was more sophisticated than that, because we're not Obama, but we're also not Bush, and we're also not McCain, and we're our own. Using very wisely, which makes me think that there's no way that the Trump campaign came up with this, and it was probably hatched in Moscow and given to them
by Manifold.
Very, very adeptly and wisely finding this path of the alt-right and disaffected, industrial workers in Rust Belt states, and crafting the message perfectly to them.
They didn't find them. The alt-right and the Rust Belt found Trump.
No, Breitbart pushed Trump. Fox News was entirely dismissive of Trump at the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was the main outlet for conservatives and had been for 20 years. So Breitbart was before Fox or anybody else, Breitbart was pushing Trump forward. They were the ones, and Breitbart meaning Steve Bannon, hello. Where does he work now? Oh, yeah. So they're the ones that push forward, Trump is our guy. And Bannon's the one, and actually before I said it was Moscow, that's I was being facetious. It was Steve Bannon probably largely that came up with this. And the strategy which is entirely craven and just really cynical but effective, of finding this, again, using the alt-right, which is the third rail for any other, semi-moral human. I'm not going to, try and win the White House with the use of basically neo-Nazis. I don't know. But he was like, hey, we need them. Okay, throw them in. And so they came up with this recipe, and and it worked.
It's a wise strategy.
Right. But
you need foot soldiers, and
right.
No one's asking them.
Right. But I'm just saying, but the Democrats, I mean, look, unless they're going to lose their soul in this election, look, we're not going to appeal to white nationalists, okay? Democrats and progressives aren't going to do that. So we have to come up with a message we have to unify those people that voted third party, okay? And not your people that always vote third party, but a lot of disaffected Democrats who could not vote for Hillary Clinton and went ahead and voted third party, and all those people that were Bernie supporters and either A, didn't vote or voted for somebody else.
So do you think
how are you going to unify them? You've got to draw them together.
Now is the time for a Bernie Sanders-like person. Before it wasn't.
Why not Bernie?
I can argue you wouldn't be saying that without Bernie. And I did say that back in the day when I was very Bernie-centric, that I wish he was a little younger, and maybe we'll get another candidate, the next time around with this same message that is younger and more photogenic and doesn't have the accent and those type of things that were grating on people about him, which is sad that those are the things that kept people from voting.
I think not to rehash things, but I think what kept people voting from him was his loss of the prize near the end.
Yes,
like the obfuscation of the goal. I think that that wasn't his time. I think we had to have a mainstream Democrat fail before Bernie was a viable thing. Because that was split between people who thought that the tried and true way was always the way that was going to work, and then people who were new and brand new and socially conscious. So now we know that we have to meld the two, but we didn't know how to then, and that's where Trump sneaks in.
Yeah,
they got 16 people on the Republican side. He's got a bunch of guys in hoods backing him up. Flyering people and fake newsing, and if they're not in hoods, they're in big fur hats, in a different country.
Well, I think the alt-right was important because they were the energy of that campaign, but they weren't the numbers of the party.
Right, yeah.
The numbers came from middle America, frankly, and not from blue collar, from white suburban voters.
Terrified white suburban voters.
Absolutely. Those soccer moms who, voted for George W. Bush in 2004 because he's going to keep us safe. It was those same soccer moms that voted for Trump largely,
and voted for Obama.
And some of them voted for Obama, and then they come in. So you're left going, pick a lane.
It's just fear.
I think that's a good point.
They pick their lane.
Is they have kind of fought out what they want, and I think it's due to economics. Is if their paycheck is going up and they see their life doing better, they're going to vote for whoever they think will get them that stuff.
I don't think they see that. I think it's fear-based.
Yeah,
I think it's 100% fear-based.
It's fear / I think hatred-based. I think there is some.
My home, my suburban home, we're going to be run over at some point. We need to get somebody in there that's going to stop this.
Well, I think that's 15 years of living paycheck to paycheck when you're driving your,
But see, that's not who we're talking about. I'm talking about white professionals earning $100,000 or more. A large part of those folks came out and voted for Trump. Cynically, they know. I think a lot of them, they knew Trump was a monkey. They knew he was an idiot. They knew he was a buffoon, and they didn't care. They just saw that he could win the White House, and then he was going to give them tax cuts.
Yes.
So fuck it.
And he's building a wall.
And he's going to build a wall. So fuck the brown people, and I get more money. Yay!
It's the tax cuts most of all. The people in that bracket. Yes, people often think that they don't live paycheck to paycheck. That's what humans do. You make $200,000, you go out and spend $250 a year. Right. You make $500,000, you go out and spend $750 a year because you have this float. And everybody understands this, but it doesn't hit them when you are seeing those numbers. That person is living just like you. He's just making a shit ton more money and having a lot more fun than you. But he is still doing the same way, because I would say in all of America, there's probably 20% of the Americans that actually are very prudent and have, a whole cadre of nest eggs and have stocks and bonds and things like that. But most people are living in their $450,000 house with their $200 or $50,000 cars, with their 2.5 kids going off to $100,000 a year colleges, and here comes the government after they've bought all that shit that says, "Oh, we want some more to go feed the poor people." And they don't like it.
Well, that's how they perceive it. Yeah. That's not how it is, but I mean,
right,
necessarily.
But that's how they perceive it, and they got this guy who is willing to say that exact same thing, and they said, "Oh shit, yeah, I like that guy."
Yeah.
So my point is the Democrats have made huge strides since the 30s. Why don't we ever stand up for our own legislation, for our own policies? Even Obamacare, we just won this huge victory. I pause before I say that word, on Trump and the Republicans not being able to get through their own health care. Well, where are Democrats out there saying, okay, great, I'm sorry you guys couldn't do it, but let's get down to brass tacks here. What is it that you don't like? Let's fix it. What is it that you keep saying is going to be a death spiral? I've never seen one of them come out with a figure board saying that this is a death spiral, and here are the numbers of the death spiral.
Do you think
some of the markets are in trouble because the insurers are pulling out? There's no doubt that the markets needed fixing, but a lot of that trouble is being caused by a complete abdication of responsibility by the executive branch, Trump. They're letting them wither and die on the vine. Now, they can accelerate that, or they can just by benign neglect look the other way and let these markets fail. I don't think, when I hear the actual wonks talk about, there is a broad-based acknowledgement that the current system needs to be repaired. It is not a good system depending on where you live and your circumstances. For some people, it's not good. Mm-hmm. But the difference is the Republicans take that and they portray it as it's the worst thing since smallpox. Right. And they try and equate, that it's a horrible, horrible thing. It's like, well, no, it's not, actually. It needs fixing. There are some people that are getting screwed. There's no doubt about that. Mm-hmm. That's the whole point of working across the aisle, to fix it.
Well, now, here, what we're largely forgetting is the people that are living it. The people that are living it and it's working for them, they don't believe that crap.
Right.
The people where it's not working for them, they believe that crap. That's going to happen. What's in it right now for the Democrats to come out and essentially pour salt in the wound of failure right now? When there's let's say Chuck Schumer comes out and says, "See, look at that death spiral. This isn't going to happen. You guys are failing. We'll help you out. We'll help you do it."
Right.
And
on a more positive note.
On a more positive note, he'll come out and say that, and then the Republicans will now embolden their base again to really repeal. Dems want to help. No, we can do it. We can do it now. And that's it's so divided right now that any sort of parity is going to come across as a challenge. So I think we wait till it fails completely. Not Obamacare, but trying to get this through, and then Democrats alone come out and say we have a fix for Obamacare.
Right. Well, alone. Look, the Republicans complained. The Republicans complained ceaselessly that Obamacare was passed. They didn't do it bipartisan, and it was only the Democrats that passed it. And of course, conveniently forgetting the fact that at every opportunity they were invited to take part, they declined and they obstructed and they said no, and we want it, and so they declined to take part. But here's the point. The Democrats, while in power, were able to fucking govern. They were able to get the damn thing through. Mm-hmm. The Republicans, who now have even a stronger hold on power, cannot get it through. They don't know how to fucking govern. And they can't get their own party. So when Trump blames the Democrats, it's the Democrats' fault. I'm like, really? It's the Democrats' fault? Really? Because Republican senators No one was going, how many Democratic senators aren't going to vote for this? Because, well, they all weren't. You can't get your party on board with this. You pull over here, you remove support over there.
And I think that's painfully obvious to everyone except the Trumpisters.
Exactly.
You know, the rank and file human being, American citizen voter, is looking at this going, well, you're in power.
Exactly.
The Dems put through Obamacare. Our memories aren't that short.
Well, what's interesting is that as this process has played out. So, of course, originally it was replace and repeal. We're gonna repeal and replace. We're gonna get rid of Obamacare. And we're gonna have our plan and put it right on top, and it's gonna be wonderful. But of course, that plan on top comes in, and when the CBO scores it and says, well, 23 million people are not going to find it all that wonderful. Mm-hmm. All right. So when those votes fail, and they can't get the votes to pass it, then just this week McConnell goes, oh, we'll just go for the repeal and we'll delay for 2 years. They can't even get that passed because, frankly, that's fucking worse. That is essentially, A, you throw chaos into the system, and B, you're basically saying we're going to go back to the pre-Obamacare era when pre-existing conditions could be used against you, and you could be denied insurance, and and on and on and on and on, and your kids couldn't be on your insurance past 18 and whatever else. And so here's the thing about Obamacare or any government subsidy: once you roll it out and the benefits start accruing, you're never going to get rid of it. And Obama knew that. Okay, the Democrats knew that, and to a certain extent. Yes, technically Obamacare could still be removed, but the fact that we're seeing this epic fail on the part of the Republicans is largely because people want these things. These issues, these benefits, these subsidies that were brought to you by the Democratic Party. Okay, not the Republicans. The Republicans oppose this, as they've opposed every other entitlement program that enjoys broad-based support now. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, unemployment insurance, minimum wage. Republicans opposed every fucking last one of those, and the Democrats pushed it through. And now they're considered broad-based, and people are like, now you got people with, get your government hands off my Medicaid. Okay, thank you. And you spelled Medicaid wrong, idiot. So,
and government.
Right.
I think you're making my point for me, is that's our platform, is what we've already done.
Yes, that's exactly.
Is you guys are living with what we've done, how we've governed throughout the last 100 years. You're living with it now. Why don't we tout that? Why do we
That's
let
always
people,
the issue. That's been the issue for the Democrats for 100 years.
Yeah.
Well, and more recently, I think the reason why is because we've tilted towards Wall Street.
Yeah.
We've tilted toward the big banks because they can write the big checks, and we've become the victims of the system that we say we want to change. We say on the record, we want to get rid of Citizens United, and yet we are operating within and I agree, you can't tie your hand behind your back, but we've tilted ourselves to accommodate to Citizens United, and thus we're now beholden to the big banks and to Wall Street, and they are setting the agenda, which is not going to win Main Street. I mean, to use those, cliches, but that's the truth of the matter. The Democrats have got to move away from Wall Street. They have got to move away from the big banks. My biggest complaint about the Obama administration was they did not go after the big banks the way they should have. I have to think that if there's any regret that Obama has, it's that he probably should have moved a lot tougher on those banks. More people should be behind bars. Only one person was ever prosecuted for the whole bullshit that went on in the late 2000s.
It was a bullshit prosecution.
And it was a bullshit prosecution, exactly. It's like putting the corporal in jail.
Yeah.
These banks, we got these epic, $100 million, $500 million fines. You're like, it's just the cost of doing business, man. Until you put these fuckers in jail, they're not going to stop their bullshit. And we're beholden to them. And when I say, so basically we craft our policies to their liking. These policies run directly counter to a lot of middle America, a lot of people who voted for Donald Trump. Now, I'm not saying we cater to the racial dog whistle that Trump used, but I think we ignore their economic concerns at our continued peril. And if we still tilt towards Wall Street, then we're going to continue to ignore it.
But no, this is where it gets complicated, though. What these people believe their economic concerns are, they aren't. they routinely vote against their own self-interest due to some weird rhetoric or some bug they got up their ass at some point. And telling them that this is good for them, well, they won't believe it. So what do you do at that point? You know, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Yeah.
Well, that's the Fox News effect. I mean, I think they live in this. You're right. I mean, you're right that they do. I think to a large extent, there's a large swath of people that have been voting against their economic interests for quite a long time. But you're certainly not going to reach them. To go back to Rob's point of, we have to find a coherent and effective way to tout what Democrats and liberals have brought this country in the last 100 years. And we're not doing that. We let the word liberal slide like a slander, and it's not a slander. And we have to more, more than just on TV shows like The West Wing and Newsroom. We need to start our leaders, our actual leaders, not our TV leaders, but our actual leaders need to start to stand up and say openly, yes, I am a liberal, and here's why. Right. And these are the things that liberalism has brought you in the last 100 years. And these are the things that the Republicans were opposed. And by the way, they're almost exactly identical. So continue, you tell me which way you want to go.
Now, see, I feel that is the job of the DNC. That is the message creation machine that should be in place. And it hasn't been. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I have thought, boy, this will be a slam dunk for the Democrats, and it's crickets from them. You know, and this is. I mean, this could be very much be the first signs of the fracture in the Citizens United. Is here we have all these senators that are only listening to their donors, and here all the people of the land got together on health care and kicked their ass. You know, this could actually be the turning point of all of this, and we have to keep it on a positive note, because you're absolutely right. They're going to lie. They're going to cheat. They're going to steal to try and get this out of our hands, which they have done. But the one thing that people can kind of always smell in America is bullshit. So if you don't go out there with bullshit, and you just keep on saying, this is what we do, this is what we do, this is what we do, here, look, you will sooner or later beat that smell test. I really do think.
I think I don't think they can tell bullshit, but because most people can't tell the difference between bullshit or not. But the repetition works.
Yeah,
it's repetition. That's an old advertising method right there. Just keep saying it till they think it's real.
You know, the killer part of this whole healthcare thing is them coming out with this. They're changing the idea of what insurance is. That the rich people shouldn't be paying for the poor people, or the healthy people shouldn't be paying for the sick people. And I mean, that's how insurance companies work. And every health professional, and even the straight insurance professionals, will tell you that the bigger the pool, the better the insurance. You know, I can spread the costs.
Exactly. The bigger corporations have better insurance than small corporations.
And having more people on insurance, period, however you have to get them there, is better.
Right. Last week, you had the American Medical Association and I believe the American Society of Actuaries on the same day both come out and say this Senate plan is fucked.
Yeah.
It will screw us. And you have the doctors and the bean counters, okay, both say this sucks. Yeah. You know, that's pretty telling. I mean,
it is, but not to some people.
No, I agree.
Expertise is no longer expertise.
Right.
So I guess that is my ultimate BS censor right there, is this healthcare thing. Is they were coming out saying it was going to be better, and you know, they were saying their line, but America kind of smelled right through it.
Well, America smelled different parts of it, I think.
Yeah.
Different people smell different parts.
Sure.
So, like, from this country, it doesn't matter to people until it matters to them personally. Mm-hmm. So the guy that was pissed off about poor people not getting insurance, that matters to him. Completely different than the other guy opposing it, who had his gallbladder out and now has a pre-existing condition and can't get insurance.
Right.
You know.
But I don't think we should discount activism in this. I think these groups like Indivisible and these others that have been holding these town halls and have been keeping the public pressure on these senators and representatives. I mean, I don't think they of themselves have done it, but I think they've been a key part of the formula that has kept the pressure on. Look, if the pressure wasn't on, if the Republicans would have passed this in a second.
Yeah.
No, they're still incompetent. That's another component. Incompetency, groups like Indivisible that are getting people there, and then just common sense. Doesn't work for me.
Right.
So these three things, because don't underestimate the incompetence.
Well, I think the incompetence from the White House to me is titanic.
It's huge. So this is like with a normal president, the incompetence of this Congress would be the leading story. But no, that's just a ring in the circus, folks, and not the center one.
Right.
Well, and in some cases, the incompetence of the Democrats and the incompetence of the Tea Party to think that they can, within this large mechanism, get what they want and solely what they want out of all of it is naive.
The Democrats are still living in the old mainstream, how it worked under Bill.
Right.
We're fighting Bill's fight still over and over and over again. And to a large extent, Bernie was fighting not Bill's fight, but the method of Bill's fight.
Right.
We were doing the same old, and that's where some, a real maverick, and I'm using air quotes, like Trump, is going to get a lot of freaking attention.
Right.
And, Kid Rock. Somebody was asking me, what do you think about Kid Rock? I was like, well, that's better than going for president right off the bat, and I think it'll be a sobering effect for him, just like it was for Trump, to get there and realize what you're up against. All of these other people. Our
district, man. Dang-a-dang-a-dang-diggy. I'm in the Senate.
Well,
I'm no piggy.
The question will be, will he be the first or the last senator that will have Hep C from Pam Anderson? So, that's something that...
Or is there someone there already?
That's what I mean. So
she might have done a flyover.
Everyone assumes he'd be the only one. I'm like, I don't know. But
hey, no Hep C shaming. Disease shaming.
I'm sorry.
Rude.
I'm sorry. Not really.
My name is Senator Rock.
No, I'm sorry. Please sing your song, love it, but no.
Representative Nugent?
No. None of it. Go be a mayor. Go be a congressman, I guess, but not really even that.
It's like a state
Just
senator.
go run something first. And not a business. No, that's not the same. No, I know you put on your concert tour and you... No.
What about his Pimps and Hoes?
No.
Pimps and Hoes can
got a whole song about it, John.
Got enough fucking Pimps and Hoes in Washington. Don't need any more, rhetorical or otherwise. And sorry, I'm sick of this. I want experts. I want fucking career politicians,
scientists.
Do you think not think that Kid Rock could completely revamp the war on drugs? Jeez. Come on, man.
You know what? Here's the thing. Okay, look, and we haven't really heard from candidate Rock. Bob Ritchie. We haven't really heard from him other than just some vague statements online, and this website that he's put up. But you know what? If he was to get out there and actually speak some truth, which I have no faith that he would, okay? If he was to get out there and say, we need to end the war on drugs. We need to legalize these things. We need to make this a priority. We need to, you want to know what? And we need to stop this war on choice. Okay, we need to make abortion as it was, I think very well put, by the Clintons, and I think it's made sense. As abortion needs to be legal, safe, and rare. And you don't get to the rare until it's safe, and you don't get to the safe until it's legal. And, if he was to start saying these things, because he seems to be more of a conservative financial, fiscal Republican and a socially more liberal,
putting it mildly.
Depending. But if he was to say, but I wouldn't have any expectation that he would. He'll get out there and he'll fucking toe the goddamn line of the GOP.
Oh, no.
Yes, he will.
You don't know yet.
Yeah, we know.
That's the same thing they said about Franken.
Okay.
Well, how is this different from Ossoff then? We were all rooting for Ossoff. He's kind of the same deal. I mean, he had a message that we were all on board with, but we were forgiving his past. I mean, Al Franken, he came up and he's a kick-ass senator. Why can't a Kid Rock grow up? Is my point.
Okay. All right. So let's use Al Franken.
Straight as day one.
Let's use Al Franken as an example. Okay. Ossoff's not a good example because he lost. So you could say that. Well, there you go. He didn't pay his dues, and he lost. All right, so Al Franken. Okay, Al Franken was, we all know him from Saturday Night Live, and comedy writer and all the rest. He made a transition to politics when he became a pundit. Okay, and he became a full-time political pundit on Air America and elsewhere, where he was talking politics, and he made it over a series of years, not weeks, not months, but over a series of years, he talked policy. And it was clear, like, oh, he knows what he's talking about, okay? He actually understands a policy. He gets it. And he told his story about, especially of his wife and how she grew up on basically welfare and how it made a huge difference in her life. And he told this story, and he talked about policy, and he became a policy wonk for a number of years. And then he ran for the Senate when there was this opening in Minnesota. And he made a credible run, and he made a highly important decision in that process, which was, I have to leave behind the comedian persona. Not that I'm not going to use humor. He did use humor. He deployed it, I think, very respectfully and rarely, but he wasn't shticking when he was out on the campaign trail. I think it was very smart of him to do that. In other words, I want to be a serious politician. I want to be a serious lawmaker. And he proved himself, and he's won.
Why can't Bob do that?
Maybe he can. I don't personally believe he can, but show me wrong. Go ahead, Bob.
We'll see.
Show me wrong.
Personally, I don't agree with anything he thinks, so I don't want him.
I don't either.
I don't want him in there.
Yeah.
But if he does it the right way,
okay. But let's talk policy. Here's the thing. It's the same with The Rock. All right, that's really you're a nice guy, and you can okay.
Like he isn't even. He's not even going to do it.
All right, I know, well, because he's too smart.
And rich.
So let's just talk policy. All right, Robert Ritchie, you want to be a U.S. senator? Great. You want to be a senator from the state of Michigan. You want to replace Debbie Stabenow, who has led the fight every year, has been one of the key leaders of the Farm Bill. Okay, when that comes up for reauthorization, because there's a lot of farmers in Michigan, and she's representing their interests. Rightly or wrongly, whatever, she's representing those interests. She can intimately talk to you about agricultural policy. Bob, other than the pot plant you're growing in your closet, talk to me about agricultural policy.
And we don't know.
We do know.
But we don't.
We kind of do.
So now, he does a lot of stuff in the city of Detroit.
Okay.
And he's involved politically there. Not as a politician,
right.
But in the lots of charity work,
right.
Lots of rebuilding and zoning. Maybe that's his forte. Maybe
Great.
Urban development.
Look, he can cross lines. There was this. I forgot the gentleman's name. He just announced as a Republican. He wants to run for the same Senate seat on the Republican side. African-American businessman from Detroit, running as a Republican. He's an Iraq War veteran. He flew Apache helicopters in the Iraq War. Very conservative. And he runs a supply chain company that's based in Detroit. And, I mean, he is to the right of Mitch McConnell. From all of his policy stances. And it's an interesting guy. I mean, he's breaking down some of those stereotypes, a very culturally conservative African-American who seems to be competent. Listening to him speak, it was like, okay, the guy seems to have some idea of what he's talking about. I don't think you can get to be an Apache pilot and not have some level of competence. But then again, you look at their current HUD secretary, and, wow.
He is a brain surgeon.
I know, that's what I mean. But then he talks, and on anything other than brain surgery, and you just go, oh boy.
Maybe we just should put a map of the brain in front of him and make this better, and it's really HUD housing.
Right, maybe. So you can break through the stereotypes. So you know what, Robert Ritchie, aka Kid Rock, go for it. I don't think it's going to happen.
I'm waiting for Representative Nugent to run because that's going to be interesting and fun.
Well, they talk about it, but they don't have. Why? First of all, why?
Right. Well, sadly, in the defense of all these guys, they haven't said they're running.
Yeah.
It's just been people have posted pictures online and things.
But what? You're a rock and roll star. You're living the fucking life. What the why?
Yeah.
Because apparently the hose is better in D.C.
Well, there's
more money.
But the whole notion of here, I could do that, hold my beer. That kind of a politician, I'm tired of that shit. No, keep your beer, go sit down. No.
I think both of them, just my own personal opinion, really the persona that you're seeing is a stage persona.
Yeah.
Both of them. And I think when they come out and
Nugent?
Maybe not Nugent.
I don't know about Nugent.
When they do their outrageous things, they get more clicks and people go to their site. They're aging rock stars. They really are, pulling in the same numbers that they used to. I really do think a lot of that is just self-promotion.
That explains Pat Boone.
Yeah.
Who just said that SNL has to be taken off the air if they mock God one more time.
Oh. Okay.
Love Pat Boone.
Okay. Thanks.
I really thought he was dead. Sorry.
No such luck.
Well, I remember when Pat Boone got in trouble because he did that heavy metal album, which he did it was a parody thing, and I remember I think he came on the Tonight Show with the black leather on and a studded neck collar, whatever. And it was a joke, and it was a joke. But all these evangelicals were like, "Oh, sorry, Pat Boone, you've gone to the devil," and blah blah blah.
And he did.
The guy couldn't even make I'm like, really? You can't even make a fucking joke? Jesus.
I saw an old picture of Pat Boone in a Halloween costume. I think it was from the 50s, and his Halloween costume was that dick in the box thing. So he had he had a present strapped around his waist, and when he lifted a lid, there was his dick.
Huh.
That sounds like a great guy.
I missed that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Pat Boone. Oh yeah. Boone at parties.
Was he like Milton Berle or?
No. Milton Berle's probably actually funny and fun. You don't like my dick joke? Going to hell.
Yeah.
No, what? No, I just don't like dick, dude. It's just.
No, I just mean the Milton Berle, the legend of Milton Berle.
Oh,
wouldn't have a box. He had like a big long thing of like flowers,
right?
Like a flower box.
Oh, he brought me flowers. Oh my god!
Holy God! What the hell is that?
So I've never seen liverwurst so long.
Okay. Well, we've certainly strayed off topic.
Slightly. We've been talking about dicks the whole time from Trump on the way down. This is just one valid podcast after another.
So back onto the topic of the complete clusterfuck of the Republicans trying to get this health care bill passed, and so now where we're at now is we'll get to that some point, maybe later.
Yeah, we're gonna kick that can and work on taxes right now. Right? It's like Animal House. We didn't really do really good over there that one, so we're going to work on taxes.
Right.
And didn't they stay late in August?
Yeah.
Do all this extra
I'm
work?
canceling vacation so we can work. What?
Oh crap, honey.
Mitch, you're such an ass.
Right. And I think they're loath, not that they won't do it, but I think they're a little loath to cancel the canceled vacation.
Right.
Because now
so now they're just sitting around staring at the three dudes that won't vote.
Well, the thing is,
throwing darts at
the three dudes were the three women in the Republican senators, at least the ones that wouldn't vote for the repeal and replace later.
Right.
Who, interestingly enough, these are when Mitch McConnell convened his panel to draft this legislation, and you remember there was this picture of these 12 white guys sitting in a room. Conspicuously absent was any females, and it's like, Republicans, you have females in the Senate.
Can you imagine the conversations in that room? Like, Leon, what's an ovary? I don't know. Isn't that when it's ending? Like the French,
ovary.
French call it fini, right? I think it's the end. All right, so we're gonna so when it's ovaries, then we'll stop it. Right, so we stop everything with an ovary. Yeah. That's what it means, right?
You taking that down? Yes.
Yeah. So. Fallopian. No, take those out. Those got to be brown.
No, that means no.
Those got to be brown.
Fallopians?
No, I think that says flop on. That's sexual. See no,
so we can't regulate that.
No.
Yeah, we can. All right. So no flop-ons. If you have any flop-ons, then you pay for the little blue pills.
Right.
It's the Cialis you later plan. All right? These people.
I know. So the thing is they didn't even bring in the women in their own party. Even just one. Susan Collins or...
you know how hard it is to bake cookies all day for the rest of Congress? It's a fucking pain in the ass.
But why would you not even bring in just one, again, when you're crafting a policy that affects 50%, 51% of the damn, citizenry?
Mitch, should we call on Susan Collins? No! She's got fudge on the stove.
Right.
And she'd have to go find her shoes. Just no! She doesn't have the time. She's busy.
So, again, why? why would you not have at least one of them in the room to represent, just from a political point of view of like the photo op might look good if you had one woman sitting there.
You're still all lily white.
But they're so fucking stupid. No, they don't do it. Okay. But it also, more importantly, would make sense to have a woman in the room to say, fellas, you can't do that. And to basically be a part of the discussion as they're crafting this completely ridiculous bill that can never appeal. If you would have at least had somebody as part of the discussion, they could have moderated the process a little bit. And perhaps, frankly, it's probably good that they didn't, but maybe put something forth that could be passed. But no, they're not going to do that because they don't know how to govern. They know how to oppose, they know how to obstruct, they know how to criticize. They don't know how to govern. They don't know how to get anything passed.
I am not paying for anybody's messages to their mother. So strike out all those mammograms. You can send your own cards, people. It's entitlement issues.
Now, didn't you guys think that it only took 12 of them because those were the major donors? And the whole time in the meeting, because they didn't appease to anybody even in their own party, so it had to have been the donors that were laying down what rules they wanted.
Oh yeah.
So the 12 people that were in there, they knew, well, okay, we're the highest ranking of the donors, not of our constituents, of our donors. They're getting the most money, so they get to decide, and that really shows forth that who they're working for. You can look at their legislation and see what they did, and to see who was on the phone. You know.
But again, the point is to get a bill passed. You can't craft a bill that's so openly partisan. Look, it's as if he didn't. It's as if McConnell didn't understand going in, and this isn't true. Of course, he understood, but he just completely ignored it. That he had people on the far right and he had people in the middle. Yeah. Okay? And that there was no bill that was necessarily going to appease the people on the far right and the middle at the same time.
Right.
So you have to find a bill that you can get. So, okay, think about a spectrum, all right? From the right to the left. Okay, you're dealing with just from the center to the right if you're Mitch McConnell in the Senate. Just my people that are on the moderate side to the center, to the right wing, the far right wing. All right, I've got to move this somehow to get enough votes to pass this. I can't move it any farther to the right and get any... There's no one farther to the right! You've got it all the way to the fucking wall. If you move it farther to the right, that's when you appease the people on the right, you piss off the moderates, they can't vote for it. So, where can I get some other votes? I don't know. Maybe there's a blue dog Democrat or two in the fucking center I could get to vote for this, and then I can ignore the hardliners on the extreme right. I can move it more to the center. It stays to the right. It's still largely on the right side of the spectrum, but I moved it just a little bit more over to the center. I catch some blue dog Democrats. I now have enough votes to pass this. And that's how politics is done. But McConnell especially has left this scorched earth policy in the Senate in his time there that there is no appealing now because think about it. He used it as a threat. He said it as a threat. Well, if you don't pass this, we're going to have to talk to the Democrats. In the way he said it, it was almost like, we're going to have to cut your dicks off. So pass it or I cut your dicks off. And he's standing there with a hatchet.
It's the political equivalent
in their minds
when they go back to their districts and the very loud people that say, you compromised?
Yeah, exactly. But I think if you get some blue dog Democrats in the center that you can get on board with this, you could have passed it. Personally, I'm glad they didn't. Because I think it would have still been a shitty bill. Yes. Just fix what's in place now. Hello? Which is probably what they're going to have to end up doing. Despite Trump's, we're going to let it fail. He said, by the way, last night, he said, we're going to let it fail. This morning, he was like, we got to find a way to replace and repeal. And people are like, oh my God.
Yeah,
this guy's fucking killing me.
You know what happens when you let it fail? Insurance companies lose money.
Exactly.
And insurance companies do not like to do that.
Right.
But we let it fail. Yeah, Don, this is Bob.
All the people who
over
give you
here
money.
At Giant Insuro Company.
Shut up.
So, yeah. You're going to say this now. I'm going to sit. Wait, I got to clear up to Putin. He says okay.
Right. Already sent the email.
Yeah, he sent an email so I can say that. So I'm going to do it.
So, yeah, now they're going to move on to tax reform, which is equally as complex. And I love their optimism. These are people that have been running their head into a brick wall for years, and they've just completely brained themselves. Because they're just like, well, this healthcare thing, but we're going to get a tax reform done. And I'm like, you have the same fucking problem.
Yeah.
You have the same problem with tax reform that you have with healthcare.
It's the same donors that have been screaming for action for 7 years now, and now they're like, okay, start time,
right.
Go.
Right, but
and it's going to be like herding squirrels. It's like,
but again, you appease the right, you lose the center. And instead of approaching... Now, if you're Mitch McConnell, you've been burned on health care. If you're Donald Trump and you've been burned on health care, you might say, okay, let's not get fucking burned on tax reform, shall we? Let's go into this maybe with an attitude of, let's try and knock off a few people in the center. It's good politics if you're a Republican. Why am I telling the Republicans how to do their goddamn job? They're so fucking stupid. They don't even know how to do their own job.
We got Gorsuch.
It's good politics for the Republicans if they could get some Democrats in the center on board. They go, it's bipartisan, and they completely kind of undercut Democratic attempts to criticize it.
We got Gorsuch.
We got
Gorsuch.
Fucking stupid.
We got Gorsuch.
So stupid.
Win.
Well,
Gorsuch. Win.
Right.
The new normal is you can have the KKK and the alt-right,
Sure.
and
Why
all
not?
those guys on your side.
Absolutely.
So we better appease them. So that is their own. That is their own
Hood
grave
scratch
that they've
fever.
Uh-huh. That's going to be the new presidential theme.
Yeah, Hood Scratch Fever.
Hood scratch fever.
A theme to Birth of a Nation.
Oh my god.
I don't know, there wasn't a theme. It was a silent movie,
Yeah,
sorry.
Still. What's wrong with the audio on this?
Nothing.
They said this was good.
It's up to 10. I turned it up to 10.
This
It'd sound really good if we could hear those slaves scream. Good God, people.
Right. Well, here we are.
Hood
So,
Scratch Fever.
Do you have an amp with 11?
it's an 11.
A Rob Reiner movie? You leftist pig.
Oh, how dare you?
Sorry.
Yeah.
We could.
That's all I know.
10's the
It's
highest.
the lefty way.
This goes to 11.
The other way I scratch my head about. Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't. I see why it appeals. Because you feel safe. You feel safe and you feel included. And you feel, oh, look, all the people like me.
Yeah.
And we're all together. And yay, Trumpy, he looks like us too, except for the hair thing. But that's okay.
But so undergirding all this, of course, is the potential for prosecutions on collusion.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
if they don't prosecute, then that's almost a scandal in and of itself. I mean,
the
just
White
based on what we
House
know.
signed off on the Deuce statement. Doesn't that now make it a White House
Yes,
scandal?
absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
they could have,
Absolutely.
and they're claiming Secret Service.
Secret Service is like,
Yeah.
what?
I mean,
Well, the Secret Service said
makes it a White House
Don
scandal.
Jr. was not a protectee at that point. Okay, at that time they weren't protectees, so we didn't have any. It wasn't our job to do that.
Absolutely zero interest.
And the fact that the Secret Service, if you work for the public relations office at the Secret Service, you got a pretty fucking cushy job because they don't put out a lot of press releases. It's like the CIA.
Yeah.
Same thing. I work for press, the PR department at the CIA.
keeping you safe.
You're like the Maytag repairman. I mean, no, you're not putting out a lot of statements. But they were pretty quick to put that out, saying, no. We had nothing to do. We would not have had anything to do with that. On your own. Bye-bye.
I can't remember who said it, but it's like the intelligence community is putting a quarter in the slot machine, just waiting for one of them to be the one that that topples this oligarchy, I guess you would call it.
It's like a fooligarchy.
Yeah.
It's not really an oligarchy. It's kind of, it's like this. Like your police department's the Keystone Cops. Like, yeah, they're your police department, but they're a bunch of idiots. So it's an oligarchy, but run by clowns.
Right. Again, we only know in the long arc of history looking back, but the way this is playing out, I'm like, this might have been the best thing that could have happened to us as a nation.
I told you.
This could be the very best thing. Your grand experiment.
We're hitting reset like Nintendo.
You know what?
Oh man, I didn't collect all those coins.
Yeah.
Reset.
So we'll see what we do with it, but,
Oh, Donnie Shrunk again.
Subscribe to the No Cry Zone on iTunes and Stitcher and at abnormalentertainment.com/NoCryZone. Find the No Cry Zone on Facebook and tweet at No Cry Zone. Email nocryzonepodcast@gmail.com. And for more podcasts, comics, books, movies, and more, head to abnormalentertainment.com.
You've been listening to the Abnormal Entertainment Network.